Students, this is your video on standard form of a linear equation for 12, 12, 14. That's going to be on Friday of this week. This is standard form right here. AX plus BY equals C. The standard form of a linear equation is AX plus BY equals C, where A, B, and C are integers. And all that really means that they are positive or negative whole numbers. Okay, we don't have fractions or decimals in there. And then this part's important. A is always positive. So even though it can be an integer and integers can be positive or negative, this first one, the A, cannot be negative. Alright, finding intercepts. We've been doing things with the y-intercept. When we have mx plus b, this is the y-intercept. And that's important for slope-intercept form, but when we're doing ax plus by equals c, it's really easy to find the x and y intercepts, and that's where we're going to focus on here. Back when I was in school, this is all we did when we had them in standard form. We went and found where does it cross on the y-axis, where does it cross on the x-axis, and we drew our line. We didn't even count out slope, so this is kind of a glimpse at the back at the way that we did graphing when I was back in school. It says the intercepts of a graph occur when one of the variables is 0. Here on the y-intercept it's 0 and then a number. Here on the x-intercept it's a number and then 0. So to find the x-intercept, you plug a 0 in for y and you solve for x. To find the y-intercept, you plug a 0 in for x and you solve for y. And this is an important thing. They use these words interchangeably. Another word for the x-intercept is called the 0. Okay, so for y-intercept we call y-intercept the b. The x-intercept is also known as the 0. Alright, so it says find the x and y-intercept of the equation. So the formal way, if I want to find the x-intercept, looks like this. 2x plus, you take out y and you plug in 0 in its place, and you get this. 2x plus 3 times 0 is nothing, equals 6. You subtract 0 from both sides, and you get 2x equals 6. You divide by 2 on both sides, and you get that x equals 3. And so the x-intercept is 3, 0. For the y-intercept you do the same thing, except you replace the x with 0. So there would be 2 times 0 plus 3y equals 6. 2 times 0 is nothing, plus 3y equals 6. Subtract 0 from both sides. 3y equals 6. Divide both sides by 3, and you get that y equals 2. So our y-intercept is 0, 2. But what I like to do, instead of doing all of this formal work, is I do a method called the cover technique, where I take my hand or my finger and I cover up the variable that I'm not trying to find. Okay, so for instance, if I wanted to find the x-intercept, then I would take and I would cover up the y. And so you can just think about, this would be me putting my finger over that and covering that up. When you see what's left here, it says 2x equals 6. When it's beside it, you divide it, so you divide both sides by 2, and you find out that x equals 3, which is what we got right there. Okay, now if I wanted to find the y, then I take and I cover up the x, and I see 3x equals y. When it's beside it, I divide it, divide both sides by 3, and y is equal to 2. So my covering up method just creates a lot less work. You don't have all of this work down here to show. You just have this little bit of work right here on there. And you don't have to scratch it out like that because you're just using your finger to cover up the one that you're not using. Okay? So basically what it would look like if I were covering it up with my finger is that you would see you would just cover up, this would be your finger right here, and you would just cover up this one that you're not using. So you would just use your finger to cover up the x, divide both sides by 3, and that would give you your y of 2. Then you would come back and then you would use your other finger to cover up the y, and you would solve for your x. Okay, we're going to do these other examples, numbers 2 and 3, in class, so you can leave those blank and you'll still get your credit for it. Alright, here's a word problem. It says you have $18 to spend on school supplies. And the store sells notebooks for $2. So this is important. You have $18 to spend. Notebooks are $2, and pencils are $1. Write an equation in standard form that describes the number of notebooks x, so this is x, and boxes of pencils y that you could get if you spend $18. So we're going to try to spend $18. It's $2 for an x, so that's 2x, plus $1 for a y. Okay? So now we're trying to find the x and y intercept. So to find the x-intercept, we would cover up the y. So you would cover up this part right here, so you wouldn't be able to see that anymore. Divide both sides by 2, and you find out that the x-intercept is 9, or 9, comma, 0. Okay? To define the y, 2x plus 1y equals 18, you would cover up the x part, and then it just says 1y equals 18, so divide both sides by 1, and you find out that y is equal to 18, so this would be 0, 18. Alright, now it says to graph the equation using these. So if we were going to graph our equation here, this is going to be our notebooks down here, because that's our x, and this is going to be our pencil, or boxes of pencils over here, so boxes of pencils. I got to get to 18. I'm not sure if there are enough blanks here, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Yeah, there is enough. So, alright. So I got to go up 9. Oh no, I got to go to the right 9. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I would have a dot right there. And then I'm going to go up 18. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So up there. And then we draw our line. And so this would be the line that graph that. The x-intercept right here represents the maximum notebooks you could buy. So if you only bought notebooks, you could buy 9 notebooks, and that would spend all of your money. The y-intercept represents the maximum boxes of pencils you could buy. If you just wanted pencils only, then you could buy 18 sets of pencils or 9 notebooks. Right? And that would be buying none of the other one. Right. Changing forms. So changing forms means we want to take an equation that's written in ax plus by equals c, by equals c, and we want to transform it into mx plus b form. Oops, I did that backwards. This is what we've been doing. We've been taking standard form and changing it into y equals mx plus b. Now we're going to be taking something that's in this form and writing it in that form. So we're going to try to get, the key is you're trying to get the x to start it, the y to be second, and a number by itself on the other side. So these are the rules for doing that. We clear the fractions from the problem by multiplying by a common denominator. And so that's just like back when you were in elementary school. You're trying to get a common denominator. So if you have fractions like 1/3 and 2/6, or let's do let's don't do 2/6 because that actually reduces to the same. Let's do 5/6. So if you had 1/3 and 5/6, you look at these, they have a 6 in common, so the common denominator would be 6, and that's what you're looking for. So then the next thing, step 2, says move all variables to one side and the numbers to the other. And then at the end of the day, we got to make sure that A is positive because that was one of the rules. Let's take a look at. Alright, so we look at number 1. It has no fractions, so we don't have to worry about that. we got to get all our variables to the left-hand side, so this guy is on the wrong side. So we got to get him moved over. So to move them over properly, it's the opposite of what we do, is negative 4x. I can't line it up under there, I'm going to line it there. Can't put it under the y because they can't be combined. So I bring down the negative 4x. That's a positive y. Those cancel. That's a negative 7. So I have my ax, my by, and my c, but the only thing keeping me from being in standard form is that my a is a negative number. So what we have to do is we have to figure out what can we do to get this negative 4 to change signs. And the only way to change the sign of a number is to multiply by negative 1. So we're going to multiply everything by negative 1. So it's like a big triple rainbow here. Negative 1 times 4 is positive 4. Negative 1 times a positive y becomes negative y. And negative 1 times 7 becomes positive 7. So 4x minus y equals 7 is standard form of the equation. Okay. Alright, 3. The first thing we need to do is get rid of these parentheses, just like we were doing the other day when we did point-slope form. So this would be y plus 3 equals negative 2x plus 2. Okay, so then our goal is we want variables on the left, numbers on the right. So this guy needs to get moved that way, and then this 3 needs to be moved that way. And so you got to pick out which one you want to do first. I'm going to move the x first. So plus 2x to both sides. And those cancel. This becomes 2x. Bring down my plus y. Bring down my plus 3 equals those canceled 2. Now the 3, I don't want it, so I minus 3 to both sides. 3's cancel. I get 2x plus y equals 2 minus 3 is negative 1. And this is in standard form. Okay. And we'll finish up the rest of them in class on Friday.